The third episode begins with Iblis and Ka Young continuing their journey together. As they walk, Iblis seems unusually eager, anticipating the encounters ahead. He takes this opportunity to open up to Ka Young about his past. He explains that he was once a celestial being but was ultimately cast out of heaven due to his refusal to bow before humanity, a choice that led to his fall from grace. Now, with Ka Young by his side, he is excited at the prospect of finally corrupting her soul, something he sees as a personal mission. Their walk leads them to cross paths with 5 different individuals, each seemingly random, but as we later learn, important in some way. The first is Im Seon, an overworked woman employed at a local store. Viewers may recognize her from the previous episode where she was harshly reprimanded by her supervisor. During a brief conversation, Im Seon mentions she plans to stop by the mechanic shop over the weekend to get an oil change, an interaction that seems mundane but holds deeper significance. Next, Ka Young bumps into Boo Gyeong, an old school friend who now works at a bank and manages Ka Young's financial accounts. Their meeting is cordial but fleeting, leaving a hint of nostalgia between them. The third encounter is more lighthearted. They come across a dog which immediately starts barking at Ka Young. She comments with visible frustration that dogs always bark at her for no reason, adding a touch of humor to the scene. Their fourth encounter is with Sang Tae. Though not much is revealed about him in this moment. Finally, they meet Yong Hyun, a well-known YouTuber who is also married to Dajin, another character previously introduced. With these 5 names collected, Iblis gives Ka Young a cryptic warning. He is no benevolent genie. He is fully capable of unleashing chaos upon the world. However, Ka Young, unbothered by his warning, brushes it off. The scene then abruptly shifts, revealing that everything up to this point was part of a dream. Ka Young awakens from her sleep, having seen a vision of herself surrounded by glittering gold and laughing joyfully, a stark contrast to her current reality. The following morning, Said, Iblis's loyal subordinate, expresses concern over Ka Young's tendency to make righteous wishes. Such moral decisions could threaten Iblis's endgame. Sensing that the bet he is involved in might not go in his favor, Iblis sends Said to Ka Young's workplace, a mechanic shop, to keep an eye on her and perhaps influence her. At the same time, Iblis tries to distance himself from her, hoping to regain some control over the situation. But his plan quickly falls apart. Ka Young immediately sees through the act and figures out that Said was sent by Iblis. As if that weren't enough, Iblis himself finds it increasingly difficult to hide from her. Realizing that his current strategy is failing, he decides on a new course of action, to delve into Ka Young's past lives and uncover why she is, in a previous incarnation, chose to side with humanity over him. He travels through time, encountering Ka Young in several of her previous lives. However, the journey proves to be far from smooth. He is shot in one of her lifetimes and even decapitated during the Joseon era. After these repeated failures, he reluctantly returns to the present and directly confronts Ka Young, hoping she can explain her past choices. Unfortunately for him, Ka Young provides no answers. Instead, she seems more curious about when the 5 wish opportunities will begin. Iblis clarifies that the lamp only appears to a person when their desire reaches its absolute peak. Until then, they must wait. Intrigued, Ka Young also asks what changes with each wish. In response, Iblis reveals the existence of a magical quill that writes only the truth. No matter how reality shifts, the truth written by the quill remains unchanged. To retrieve this special quill, they head to Ejlal's building. Ejlal is a divine being and Iblis's brother. Unlike Iblis, Ejlal views humanity with compassion and disapproves of Iblis's interference. Once on the rooftop, Iblis encourages Ka-young to steal a feather from Ejlal's wings. During the rescue, Ka-young successfully grabs the feather and makes a daring escape. We soon learn that Ejlal and Iblis have a strained relationship. Ejlal, disapproving of Iblis's antics, has been burying Iblis's lamp deeper in the desert to prevent its discovery. In retaliation, Iblis destroyed Ejlal's newly built structure, escalating the sibling rivalry. Back with the magical feather, Ka-young decides to test its power. She writes that she is a burden to her grandmother, Pan-gyum. But the quill immediately corrects her, stating that she is in fact her grandmother's greatest strength. The reassurance moves Ka-young deeply. Elsewhere, tensions rise at the store once again, as Seon is publicly berated by her supervisor. At the very moment, the magic lamp appears before her, and overwhelmed by the frustration, she wishes to become the store's manager, replacing her abusive boss. To everyone's astonishment, the wish is granted instantly, flipping the power dynamics at her workplace. Later, Iblis meets up with Ka-young and shares the news of Seon's wish. Their conversation shifts when Mi-jin's name comes up. Curious, Iblis asks who she is. Through a flashback, we see Ka-young standing up for Minji during a time when she was being bullied. Ka-young's fierce defense left a strong impression, and the two have remained close friends ever since. Meanwhile, Ejlal continues to monitor Iblis and Ka-young. Irem reveals that Iblis has been using Sade to spy on Ka-young. During an arcade visit, Iblis encounters a rude man. He instructs Sade to teach the man a lesson. Sade obliges, transforming into a mythical creature and terrifying the man in an alley. The man narrowly escapes when Irem, in her bird form, swoops in and rescues him. As the two flee, we learn that Sade and Irem share a long-standing friendship. Irem had once helped Sade locate Ka-young's reincarnation. However, their reunion is interrupted by villagers hunting a supposed jaguar creature, unaware that the beast is Sade in disguise. The next day, Sade collects more intel about Ka-young and reports back to Iblis. He reveals a disturbing discovery. Ka-young appears to be planning her own death, even going as far as designing her own coffin. This shakes Iblis, who realizes that for his plan to succeed, Pan-gyum must live a long life, as Ka-young's will to live is tied to her grandmother's presence. Pan-gyum, however, grows suspicious of Iblis and tries to understand him better. The more he speaks, the more bizarre his words sound, leaving her unsure whether he's magical or simply unwell. Later, Sade reports that Ka-young had asked about a dream and inquired how she died in that life. Iblis begins to understand that Ka-young isn't interested in power or revenge, only in her eventual death. He is left reeling as he has spent centuries wondering whether she ever regretted turning away from him. Ka-young accidentally overhears the conversation, finally learning that in a past life she died after making 3 righteous wishes. Despite the revelation, she goes about her day, visiting her doctor, running errands, and heading out for a fancy dinner. Iblis joins her, though he questions how she can afford such luxuries. Ka-young reveals she made a smart investment in stocks, leaving Iblis both impressed and baffled. As they dine, Ka-young expresses a desire to visit the tallest building in the city. Iblis takes her but makes her promise not to push him off again like she did in a previous moment. They fly up together, and under the stars, Ka-young admits that having a genie in her life isn't so bad. She finds Iblis stable, occasionally helpful, and even likable. Trying to impress her, Iblis causes a citywide blackout, allowing them to enjoy an uninterrupted view of the stars. Ka-young misinterprets this as a romantic gesture. Minji once told her that if a man talks about stars, he likely wants to kiss her. Acting on that, Ka-young kisses Iblis, catching him completely off guard. After a moment of hesitation, Iblis leans back in and kisses her again, determined to prove he is a good kisser. The episode ends with the pair sharing a passionate kiss just as the city slides. If you like this explanation, then please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Would you like me to explain the next episode of this drama? If you do, then please comment down below and I will be back again with an explanation of the next episode of the series. See you again in my next video.